Alright everyone, we're ready to actually start doing the palette knife painting in oils. I've got my palette set up here. I like to set things up chromatically, so starting with my titanium white, cadmium yellow, cadmium orange, cadmium red, alizarin crimson, diazoline purple, ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and permanent green light. So that's all set up here. And so what I'm going to do is take some of the white and pull it out and just slosh it in front of all my other colors like this. And then pull little bits of the color into the white, like so. And so on one side, darker, cooler, warmer, lighter. And as I mix these together, like the burnt umber and the blue, I'm going to get some nice grays. And I can add other colors, other smidgens of color to that. So, you know, I'm not just mixing up grays, but I'm mixing up a lot of different, not only grays, but little bits of color in there. So it just makes the painting more interesting. All right, so I'm going to look at this, see what the results are. So if something's too blue or too green, then think of what the complement of that color is and add it to your mix. And that will make it grayer if you want the grays. So it's a little too violet or purpley. So I'm going to add some yellow to that. And then that'll make it a little grayer. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm going to start putting in some values here. I'm using my smaller palette knife to start with here. And if I need any medium, which I won't, but I just want to show it to you, I will use this Winsor & Newton Liquid Originals for thinning out my paints. Usually with a palette knife painting, I find I've never had to do that. So let's just test this up here. Again, that's fine. I'll make it a little darker, perhaps. And I have my photograph hanging up here on my little easel, and I'll just start putting in some pigment. Ooh. Oops. Now, of course, I got to remember that that little egg up there is yellow. So I'll mix up a little yellow here, my grays, and there we go. We're off to the races. And, you know, a lot of times I tell my students to work from back to front, but in this instance, you know, I just like to go right for the gold, right for the, you know, the object itself. And how I pick up my paint, I'm thinking about how I'm going to apply it. I'll pick it up with the edge and then put it on like that, on the edge, with the edge. So that I'm going to pick it up from. So I think about how I'm going to use it, in other words. I'm going to add a little more contrast up there. So mixing up some darker values on this side with some yellow in it. And there we go. All right. And then to the frosting itself is kind of a white. So that's mostly kind of grays. So I'll mix up some grays from my burnt umber and blue here. And again, I get other little bits of color in there, which is great and fine. This palette knife is a little stiff, so I'm not used to working with it. So I'm going to put it aside for the moment and work with my more flexible palette knife. There we go. Even though it's bigger, I still think I want to work with it. Mix up some darker values here. And then some lighter grays. Again, I have that information I put in my underpainting here, so that's a good guide towards what I am attempting to do. Picking up with the edge of the palette knife and putting it on there. There we go. Some grays here. Darker grays. Now, palette knife painting, of course, is supposed to be chunky and thick and textury, and not necessarily a lot of detail. And the analogy I like to use is kind of like killing a mosquito with a sledgehammer. So, you know, so let that be the case. Don't, you know, think of the texture and the richness of the paint. Now this is a little bit of a blue here. There's frosting underneath. I'll add a little blue to my white, a little gray, And then on the other side, again, it's in the shadow. I'll pick up a darker value over here. Excuse my arm. Some darker shadows in here. And then this is going to be white with a bunch of little sprinkles on it. That'll be interesting. This in here. Darker values on that edge. Bring them in like that. Alright. And then the cupcake itself is kind of a brownish, tannish color. So I'll take some burnt umber, add some white to that, a little bit of orange to that. Oh, that's a good color. Kind of a straw color, I guess we could call it. Let's see how that works here. Oh, that's good. That's good for the lighter side here. And then as we work, well, we add some lighter values in there too, on the edges of things. There we go. All right, now I'm not going to let this go too long. And I'm going to cut this off, and I'll do a little stop animation on this so you'll see it me working now. But there you go, I've gotten started, and you know, so far so good. All right, so that's the process. Again, I'm going to speed things up here a little bit, and then we'll see how it goes. All right.